Create the iron. We'll hear it. We'll hear it if it kicks on.
Okay, so I got her ready here.
Got her ready? Okay, to set the time of day correctly right now, the time is off. This is the dial to set the time of day. This little dot here is preset with the screw to go off at 2 in the morning.
Okay.
Okay, to set that, we want the current time of day, which, what is the current time of day right now?
Is it 9?
About
10 to 10.
10 to 10. So I pull out on it and turn it to the brighter side, because bright side, or this is daytime, dark side is night.
Gotcha. Okay.
So this tip here sets the time of day. So right around 10 o'clock is where we're at.
Okay.
And pull that out and then turn it to get it to set.
Okay, so you got it between the 9 and the 10 right now.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
This is a 7-day timer. There's little pins, silver pins here. Pin pushed in means is when it's going to cycle. Right now you've got pin number 2 pushed in, and basically what that means is it's going to regenerate on pin 2 when it pivots around,
Okay.
which is in a couple of days, because this is actually counts clockwise.
Okay, so it turns clockwise.
Yep, and there's a little dot here, a little circle. That circle is the point of where it's going to go
Okay.
at the starting point. So that's how I can tell it's going to regenerate in 2 days. Okay?
So when that 2 comes around to there, it's going to go? Is it?
Yep, when the 2 lines up with this circle, it's going to go.
Okay.
Okay, right now I'm going to regenerate the system just to see how it's working.
Okay.
To do that, you hit the lever down. And you see how the cam switches? It's cycling right now. You can manually cycle that at any time you want to.
By pushing that down?
By pushing that down.
Okay.
So right now we're backwashing, which is the first cycle.
So what's that? What do we hear?
Water running to the drain here.
Okay, so it's
And it's
pushing.
running down the hill.
Gotcha.
I'm going to advance it. To advance it, you really don't want to do this too often if you don't have to. I'm going to advance it just to get it to go through the cycles, just to check it out.
What are you advancing there?
I'm advancing the cycle.
The time of the cycle?
Yep.
Okay.
The sequence of the cycle.
The sequence of the cycle.
Okay, now it's in the second phase where this little shaft hits this pin and stops it,
Okay.
and we want a suction here. We hear a really good suction, so you got good suction on it. Okay? When it's in that cycle, if you do not get that cycle, there's things we can do, and you could call me on it, or I can tell you, if you slide this over, this is your bypass. If you slide this over, which sometimes you got to take a hammer and tap at it. It's pretty hard.
It goes. I remember. There you go.
Okay. So we bypass the system. If I'm going to work on it or do any type of work, make sure this is pushed over.
Okay.
There's 3 screws up here. During cycle, like how I'm cycling right now, I've got suction and now I have none.
Yeah.
It died down to nothing.
Right.
You can take these 2 screws out and put a paper clip in there and clean it so that if you're not getting the suction, it'll clean this out.
Okay.
Okay. Screw it back in. There's a little gasket here. You want to watch that gasket. Make sure you don't pinch it. Make sure it's flat before you put this back on.
So there's a little hole there. You put a paper clip in. Is that what you're saying?
There's a little hole there. You'll see it.
Okay.
And you can clean it out.
Okay.
Okay.
And that, if that gets plugged, you won't get any suction.
Correct.
Okay.
A foreign object will get stuck in it.
Right.
But he's got really good suction, and we haven't done anything with this for a couple of years now.
So it's staying pretty clean, is what?
Yes. Now I advanced it to the fast rinse. Now what it's doing is after it's sucked that bleach or that HB in, it's going to fast rinse and get rid of it. And now it's pushing that to drain.
Okay, so the first time you did it, you had something in the bleach down there?
There's actually nothing in the bleach, but it'll suck it up.
Oh, okay.
That's the wand. So your whole cycle of the whole thing is working good. What I think is happening is the biggest thing was your time was off.
Yeah.
It was cycling and you guys were using water. You cannot use water when this thing's cycling. So it takes an hour and a half about an hour and a half at the very most for it to go through the whole cycle.
So you set it for the middle of the night or something?
Yep, it's set for 2 in the morning. That's where this little dot is.
Oh, okay.
And that's preset with this screw, so you can never change that. As long as this time is correct, you're good.
Okay, so the time was wrong, which was causing it to cycle in the middle of the day.
Yep.
Well, I noticed that.
Okay, gotcha.
I noticed that since we got back, that once in a while you take a drink of water and it's white.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's.
You hear this compressor right now? It's kicked on. That was a compressor running. Okay, now let me explain that. on seconds, off minutes.
Okay.
Okay, on seconds means it's going to run for 40 seconds every 90 minutes. That's what this dial is. Okay, that's good. You don't really, the higher, if you're getting a lot of air bubbles and everything, you can turn this down, turn it down to like 20,
Okay.
and put this at a longer period of time. And what'll happen is it'll stop that white bubbling that you're getting.
Yeah.
We aren't getting any white bubbles, are we?
That's what you said. It's white after.
Yeah, but bubbles, I said.
Well, that's what it is. It's bubbles.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
So you can turn this down. The lower you turn it, the less like. But also, you're gonna want to watch if you're getting iron staining. You're gonna want to turn this up because what's gonna happen is it's gonna create more oxygen in the tank to cause more iron to grow and gather it. So when it goes through the filter, it can take it out. That's what the air bubble does. It oxidizes the water, so it gets air to create the iron in the water.
Okay.
Okay, so it's really kind of, and you can call me on that. That's something real easy to explain.
So if you see iron, turn that up.
Yep, turn this up a little. Turn it. Don't go any higher than 40.
Okay.
And then and this here you can mess with going down on it. Will make it go more often.
Right.
Okay.
Which doesn't hurt anything.
Which doesn't hurt anything, but you might notice like if you flush the toilet will start. The more you do pump air into it, it'll cause the toilets to gurgle and bubble and all that when you flush
It'll
them.
put air in there.
It'll put air in the water. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. So you're basically all set. The unit's actually working pretty dang good.
Okay. So now, so when you do the bleach thing, what?
Do the bleach once a month.
Okay.
Okay. We call the other 3 cycles that you're doing because this pin is pushed in. We call that a dry cycle. So do 3 dry cycles and do once a month with the bleach or the hydrogen peroxide. Okay. If you're starting to notice a little bit more iron, do it twice a month with the peroxide. Okay. But I told them because they're only here for seasonal, or if they're not here all the time, like if they're not here, count 30 days and do it every 30 days. Okay.
So the suction, when you felt the suction on that, that's when
That's when we're psyching it.
that's when it's sucking up the bleach, and you only do that once a month.
Yep. But it'll still cycle. It'll still cycle because of this pin once a
Right.
week.
Once a week, but
Right.
it really only have something once a month.
Correct. Chemical once a month. Yep.
So it'll just suck in air otherwise,
Yep,
right? Is that
yep,
what you're saying? Okay.
yep.
And it should be doing that in the middle of the night.
Yep. At 2 in the morning.
Okay.
When everybody's sleeping. Also, when you drain this, did you guys feel real comfortable about draining it down?
Last year I never drained it.
You didn't. You're
No.
lucky.
Well, I got heat in it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, then you're fine. But the biggest thing is making sure this drain line don't freeze, and the other thing is if you drain it, there's